Going back to the story on today's arraignment at the Sandiganbayan, the anti-graft court automatically entered a not guilty plea for Senator Bong Revilla after he refused to enter a plea. To explain to us the legal implications of Revilla's move, we now have on the line legal and political analyst, Attorney Amado Valdez, Chairman of the Board of the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. Good afternoon, Attorney Valdez.
Good afternoon, May. Good afternoon to our audience.
All right, first, let's discuss why Senator Revilla did not enter a plea. What kind of strategy is this? Because it's certainly not the first time we've seen this move in high-profile cases.
Actually, May, this is a textbook problem because, as I gathered from the reports, there was an amendment of the information or an amendment of the allegation with respect to Napoles not being the principal, but if I am right in the readings that I had, that he is now apparently the victim of the three senators. In which case, while the prosecution could amend the information before arraignment without leave of court, usually, this poses a challenge now on whether there's a change in the nature and cause of the crime of the charge against Revilla in the rest of the accused for which they were arrested, like Jingoy, by being a co-accused with Napoles in plunder, and then plunder where Napoles is apparently no longer playing a big role, and therefore paving the way for a possible discharge of Napoles as a state witness. So while it's true that there was no change in the nature of plunder as designated in the information, actually, if you look into it, there may be substantial change in the nature and the cause of the accusation, because this is now a plunder with Napoles. It's no longer a plunder with Napoles, but a plunder committed by the
three public
senators.
officials.
Yes, against the Republic of the Philippines, and Napoles may eventually be a witness. So there is a good legal ground for the camp of Revilla, for the accused, to ask for a deferment, not to plead to the offense, because they don't want to submit themselves, nor to the case of plunder as newly written, as per amendment made by the prosecutors.
Right.
So it's a textbook problem because on surface, it may not change some of the parameters on changing the information.
Right.
But since the complexity of the cost now of the case, why there is plunder, is different. It's no longer Napoles in the senators, but the senators, it changed to the senators with Napoles could be a witness later against them. So, academically speaking, the counsel for the accused or the accused can clarify who will be the witnesses against them. Will this include Napoles? So this should be a prejudicial matter that has to be resolved first by the court, because before finally we're making a plea on the information, because the plea is submitting yourself to the jurisdiction of the court, as well as submitting yourself to the jurisdiction, because in relation to the case that was
With your indulgence, Dean, we're just showing live pictures right now, live images from the Sandiganbayan of Senator Bong Revilla leaving the premises after his arraignment. Actually, Dean, I wanted to discuss this further with you, the amendment to the criminal information against Revilla, latest reports from the Sandiganbayan that we had was that the court decided in favor of the defense and denied the ombudsman's plea to make the changes in the original information. So what does that do to this case, Dean Valdez?
This is what I was saying. If the Sandiganbayan denied it, precisely the amendment that was filed changes the complexity, the nature and cause of the crime of plunder. Well, it's the same plunder, but its nature and the cause for plunder is different. That's why they denied it. And therefore...
but what we want to know right now is, does this strengthen the case of the government's case against the accused?
If Napoles changes roles, by maintaining the status quo, Napoles cannot be testifying against the fellow accused. What I mean is, Napoles can invoke her right to remain silent, being an accused. But if there is an amendment to the information, and Napoles will eventually be a witness, then she could be compelled to testify, because as a witness, she could not invoke the right against self-incrimination as an accused in the same case. It's really a textbook problem.
Okay, of course, this is it's just speculation, but with your indulgence, should we expect this same move from Senators Jinggoy Estrada and Juan Ponce Enrile? Are we expected, do we expect them not to enter a plea also, as similar amendments are expected to be filed in the cases against Senators Enrile and Estrada?
For reasons I mentioned, we could expect them to take the same legal strategy.
Okay, Senator Revilla, Janet Lim Napoles, and other respondents in the pork scam case have been arraigned. What happens now to them, Dean Valdez? What happens to this proceedings?
Well, the trial has to proceed with the accused altogether in the same information. So, for example, in the case of Revilla, the case has to proceed together with the other accused, unless there will be motion for a separate trial. And in the separate trial, it could proceed independently from the other, but it will be taking a long time, because you will be repeating the same proceedings all over again, presentation of witnesses and documents all over again on the same case against different accused.
Okay,
so this could there's a lot of legal maze that have to be cleared out, and this may drag. These technical problems could drag the case on eventually.
The three senators implicated in the pork scam, Dean Valdez, have filed motions against the creation of special divisions for the handling of the pork trial proceedings. What happens now? I mean, do the motions of the three senators hamper, or will it delay the pork scam trial?
I don't think there was a contest on that, because even the ombudsman or the prosecution had, I read that they are against also a special division court division being created to try the cases. And perhaps it would serve more the essence of fairness, which the people are asking, that we follow the regular organization of the court now. Otherwise, a special division may be misconstrued as being set up to hang the accused.
Okay, going back to the amendment of the information, criminal information against the three senators implicated to the pork scam. Do you also question, Dean, why just now? Why did they make the amendments just now, considering they had over a year to study the case, did you question also if the state prosecutors exercise due diligence in reviewing or studying the cases?
It's really hard to speculate. One school of thought may be that they want to pave the way for Napoles to be a state witness. But down the line, the repercussion of this move is to weaken the case, not just as far as the strategy to prosecute, but also in the public mind. This wishy-washy approach on the theory of how to proceed with the prosecution. Because if you want to succeed, you must have a definite theory of how you proceed, and this theory will dictate all the moves that you have to make in the course of the proceedings.
All right, thank you so much. As always, Dean Valdez, for taking our call.
Thank you, May, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you, May.